Welcome to the Strategies That Stack podcast. I'm your host, Victoria H. Boyd. I'm a corporate escapee and marketing consultant, and I'm on a mission to help you build a marketing strategy that is so stacked you become absolutely unignorable. Each week, I will bring you real stories, the actual data, and the true strategies that have propelled online creators and entrepreneurs to the top of their industries. So grab your coffee and let's jump in. One of my biggest fears is being someone else's best kept secret. And I know I'm not alone in that. You've got something amazing to share with the world or something really freaking cool that you do or believe, but maybe you're stuck in that weird place between doing all the things and nobody knows who I am. If I'm new to you, hey, I'm Victoria and I help business owners and creators figure out this whole marketing thing with the least resistance possible. And I know what you're thinking. Great, another video telling me to just be authentic, build a personal brand by being myself. And trust me, my eyes would roll at that too. But here's the thing. I have been in the marketing space now since 2016. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that authentic is the most overused and least helpful advice ever. When I started my personal branding journey, everyone just kept saying, be yourself, try to show up online the same way you would show up in a coffee shop, but no one was explaining what that actually meant or how to turn it into a real business growth. So today, I'm changing that. I'm breaking down how personal branding can be done in super simple, actually doable steps, and the same ones that I used to stop being a best kept secret and start being known for what I do best. There'll be no fluff, no vague tactics, just practical steps that you can start implementing today. And I promise that by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do next. So I'm sure if you clicked on this video, you probably know what personal branding is. But there's a quote about personal branding that I really love that I want to share with you today. And I hope I pronounced your name right, but Keely Michelini shared this quote. I found it online. I'll link down below. Personal branding is the overlap between how you see yourself and how others see you. It's your job to be the chief marketing officer for the brand called you. And I love that quote. I think it is just so freaking juicy because truly at its core, personal branding is all about building relationships with people. It's all about becoming memorable online for the content you create, for your unique perspectives, and making that version of you match your IRL version, match the version of you that somebody would actually be sitting with at a coffee shop. And one of the things that's actually incredibly beautiful about a personal brand is how easy it is to get started. And throughout this video, I'm going to be giving you steps and things to think about. So grab a pen and paper because there are going to be so many notes. One of the things that I really love about a personal brand is how truly frictionless it is to get started online. So think about it. You don't have to come up with a brand voice like you do for a business brand because you can simply write how you talk, or you can just record videos or audio. You don't need to come up with a big visual identity because you're the brand and people recognize you. And yeah, a logo is great in some instances. I have a logo, and my logo is my name, but people don't necessarily recognize that logo. They recognize me as the name. That is what has the brand equity that I'm building. That's what has that brand recognition. So you're able to hit the ground running with almost no pre-work, which is really freaking cool. So I want to share some basic building blocks of a personal brand and what it's going to look like actually putting it into place. So what really makes up a personal brand? What do you need to think about? If you don't need to think about a logo and a brand voice, here's what you do need to think about. Your values, your mission, your through line, content creation, visuals, and your vibe or the vibes. We're all about the vibes. So your values, what are your core values and beliefs around the world, yourself, and or your industry? These values will often be tied to your real life or your personal values. For example, mine are collaboration, adaptability, freedom, spaciousness, and resilience, which is what I am all about in real life as well as in my business. Your mission, which is simply what you're trying to do, which we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Your through line. Now, I am big on you don't need a niche, especially as any sort of creator. But you do need a through line. And a through line is just a common thread that ties all of your content and all of your offers together. My through line is joy and freedom. So everything I do comes from a place of if it's not fun, it's not getting done, and freedom to do what you want when you want to do it, freedom to make the money that you want to make without working for somebody else if that's what you choose to do, the freedom to travel, I'm also a travel advisor on the side. Content creation. What do you like to talk about? Pick 4, I'd say no more than 4 content pillars and stick to them. And they should be somewhat broad, but they should also be focused enough that you don't get distracted. For example, mine are content creation systems, marketing strategy, personal stories, and audience growth. Visuals. I know I said earlier you don't have to really worry too much about visuals here, but think about the other ways that visuals will play a role in your online presence. That could be things like your appearance. How do you show up in the world? For example, I have purple hair, and I think that tells you a lot about me, about my vibe, about my beliefs. Same with having a nose piercing, wearing fun earrings, but not wearing makeup. All of these things are things that I've considered in my visual, but they also match my in real life version. Like if we were to be meeting for a coffee chat or something like at my favorite coffee shop in town, I'd be dressed pretty casually. I might have a sweater over this t-shirt, but my hair would still be down. My hair would still be purple, and I'd still be walking around with my nose ring in. So your visuals aren't just your logo. They're not just brand photos. They're really like how you present yourself in the world. And that could also be things like graphics. Do you have a certain texture that you use? Do you use certain icons? And what's really cool is that it is easier than ever to get started because we have Canva, which you can use for free to create your own little brand kit. And last but not least is the vibes. And I know I keep saying this, but it is so important. But you have to work on recreating your in-person experience as closely as possible online. So how does it feel to interact with you? Even like recurring themes in your content can be a part of your vibe. For example, I love sparkling water, so I could talk about sparkling water and that could be part of the vibe. Erica Reitman, she is an amazing business coach on TikTok. She always has her coffee in a wine glass. Like that is part of her vibe of being a millionaire CEO. My nose piercing is like part of my vibe. The music that I listen to, I could talk about my favorite TV show. In fact, I talk a lot about Schitt's Creek. I send my email list Schitt's Creek gifts all the time. They're all over my website. I love Schitt's Creek. That is part of my brand. That's part of the vibe. So think about things that you can incorporate with your personal brand that will better weave in the vibe that you create. So now I've had 5 little steps that will help you to figure out those building blocks for yourself, but also will help you to create your own personal brand strategy. And we will talk about content creation after that. So step 1, decide what you want to be known for. So this is where you position your brand. That's who you are and why they should care. That is like, if you don't write down anything else, write down who you are and why should people care about that? What is in it for them to care? You know, you kind of have the secret sauce right when you have figured out something that you love and something that others need and are willing to spend money on. By satisfying a need, you're going to be able to build your brand much faster. And another way you can do this is by choosing a niche that you work with instead of a niche in what you do. I hope you see that differentiation there. And if not, just comment down below and I will help you out further. But for a while, I niched down to marketing for wellness brands, such as brands that worked with like Whole30, keto, paleo, CBD, things of that nature. And I niched down not with what I was offering, but with who I was offering that to. And remember that you don't have to know everything about a subject. You just have to know more than whoever it is you are trying to help. Actually, a common mistake that I see a lot of people make when they're trying to figure out what they want to be known for is they get really caught up in like, what do I call myself? What's my job title? Have I earned calling myself that thing? But that doesn't really matter at all. Less is going to be way more when you think about what you want to be known for. The simpler that you can really get that distilled down to, the easier it's going to be for you to promote yourself and build your online presence. And when you figure out what you want to be known for, this is also going to inform your content moving forward. Step 2 is, who are you trying to serve? Remember, I just said you only have to know a little bit more than the people you're trying to serve. This is where that kind of rubber meets the road here, right? So what is their age? Where do they live? Where do they shop? What do they do? What do they need from you? And if you're not really sure who you're trying to serve yet, that's really where you need to pause here and you need to work on who you want to serve. And if you don't really have that clarity yet on who your audience is, I want you to find people to have a coffee chat with. Find people, ask for 15 minutes of their time, and just ask them questions about what they're struggling with, and let that inform this. Like, let that inform who you are trying to serve. Step 3, what do you want? Like, what do you want? I know that feels like the loadiest. That feels like the biggest question ever, but what do you want to achieve with your personal brand? What are you going to get out of it? What is in it for you? Are you trying to build a community? Are you trying to build a business? Are you trying to land a new job? Are you trying to expand your network, maybe become a speaker or an author? And figuring out what you want from your personal brand really is going to guide all of your decisions moving forward. For example, if you're building a personal brand because you want to become a speaker, you might choose to prioritize a podcast because it'll help you practice your speaking skills as one of your core marketing tactics. But if you're trying to get a new job, you might want to spend a lot of time publishing on LinkedIn instead of starting a podcast. Does that kind of make sense? You really want to start from what you are trying to get out of your personal brand, and that is going to inform everything else moving forward. Step 4, create your owned and rented homes. So you don't own social media, and I think we have all figured that out with the TikTok drama over the last several weeks. And what happened a couple weeks ago just doesn't, we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there, right? But you don't own Instagram, you don't own Facebook, you don't own Pinterest or TikTok or LinkedIn, but you do own your website, your podcast, your email list, and your blog. So go buy your name domain right now. That should look something like victoriahboyd.com. Truly just like your name.com is like the best domain that you can own, and reserve your handles on social media with your name. A little pro tip here is you want to make sure that all of your handles match on as many social media platforms as it can. That used to be something that I used to say all the time. One of the things that, like, when I'd audit client accounts, I'd be like, hey, make sure your usernames are the same, because like that would come up time and time again. And it used to be really important because Facebook and Instagram were like the two big dogs in social media. And that's not really the case anymore, but you want your audience to be able to go from one platform to the other one and be able to find you there. So that's why it matters that you have the same handles everywhere. And you don't need a big website. Even just a landing page is enough. You can use WordPress, Squarespace, even Canva has a website feature now, although I don't really recommend Canva for website. They're great for graphic design, but not website. And just get a page up that says who you are and where somebody can find you. That's all you have to do at this stage. Step 5 is to start publishing content. We talked about earlier picking 4 content pillars and sticking to them. And again, you want those to be kind of broad, but also focused enough that you don't get distracted. Mine are content creation systems, marketing strategy, personal brands, and audience growth. And from those content pillars, you're going to be able to create content. And what you want that content to do is either inspire your audience, educate your audience, entertain them, or make them think about something differently. If you're still with me, go ahead and comment below what surprised you in this video, or if there was something about personal branding that was just different that you hadn't thought about before. I would love to know in the comments down below. And in the next video, I'll be sharing more on content creation as a personal brand. So be sure to subscribe for that next video. And in the video I shared last week, I actually have a lot in there on storytelling, which will be great for your personal branding. So I'll link that somewhere around me right now.